Spade back here with you, High Noon Leatherworks, for another leather adventure. Sporting the summer cut beard today, and getting a little warm, so cut the beard way back, let it regrow, and kind of start fresh. So today we're starting a new project. I think I mentioned it in my last video that we were going to be doing this project. So it's a Inside the Waistband Holster, and we're using a spring clip for your belt. So come on in and let's get started. Alright, as I put in the description and I believe the title, I'm going to make this a two-parter because I have to add my dye after I do this step, so I don't want to have to wait through all the dyeing process. So I'll go through today's video, then I'll dye it off camera, then we'll come back and I'll show you how I actually add the clip. So what I've done was I made a pattern. I drew everything out on the pattern. It's right-handed, and I could just as easily flip the pattern and make it left-handed. So this one's going to be right-handed, and it just happens to be for a Taurus G3. And you can see where I actually put my placement for my clip holder, and it is a two-piece holster. We've got the holster leather, and there's the leather for the right-handed inside the waistband, and following my pattern, here's my piece that holds the clip. So it will go on like so. So it will stitch all the way around, so it makes it super strong. I've made several of these in the past for different types of pistols, and I haven't had any issues with them. It just makes it super strong, and they just seem to last. Going to the actual spring clip, the metal spring clips, I buy these on Amazon. There's several places you can get them. This is a 2-pack that I get off of Amazon. It's for up to 2-inch belts. It's a universal metal belt clip, and the maker is Holster Smith. So if you take a look on Amazon, you'll find that in there. And I've used these several times, and they are really good. I really like them. Once you slide them through your leather, they got a little hook on the end of the inside of the spring clip where it just can't come out. So I really like these. So check those out if you want to. You might want to try those. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to locate my positioning of the actual piece of leather that holds the clip. So this will go inside through these slots, through the top slot, into the bottom slot, and then that bottom curved part that I just showed you locks in. So then that keeps this from ever coming out of this piece. So it is, and you'll see on the next video, the second part of this, it is kind of a struggle to get that in there when you have this stitched to your holster because it's so tight. But it works, and once you get that clip in there, it is not going to come off. So let's go ahead and start with positioning. It looks like on my pattern I have it, let me look, it looks like I have it approximately 3/8 of an inch from the side and 3/8 of an inch from the bottom. So I want to hold pretty true to that since I already put that on my pattern. And what I did was I actually fit my pattern to the gun first, so I want to make sure I stick with that. So I'll double check 3/8 from the side, 3/8 from the bottom. So that gets me pretty good positioning to get started with. Now, I've already got my groove around this for my stitching holes, or for my stitch. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go ahead and get a piece of, it's probably 10-ounce leather, and it's just scrap, and I'll slide that under there, and I'll take a two-point punch for stitching holes. And I'm going to start right down in this lower left-hand corner, and I'm going to tap that in until I know I'm all the way through both pieces. This piece that holds the clip and my holster piece. Now I know I'm all the way through. Now I can take my 4-point punch and I can go ahead and start working my way around, finding the place where you want to start with that other punch in there. Does kind of make it a little difficult, but this punch is set up to where you can see it has a space on one side. The space on this side's bigger, so if I want to put this next to this punch, that'll space that out for my next stitch, my next stitching hole. So you got to make sure you have that turned the right direction. And before I punch this one all the way through, I want to make sure it's good and straight. Now I'm not going to punch that all the way through into my scrap piece. I want to just punch it through the top piece that holds my clip, then just where it touches the holster piece. And you kind of get a feel for that. If you're not sure, take a look. But what I'm going to do now is going to take me just a little bit longer, but now that I've got a few holes across this bottom, I'm going to put my 4-hole punch back in, and I'm going to set it where I know it's through the top layer and just partially through the holster. It's not going all the way through like the 2-prong did. Now I can come back, pull my 2-prong out, and I've got holes that I can follow around these tight corners, because I can't use my 4-prong around the corners. I can't make it. It's too wide. So I'll switch those, go back to the corner. Again, I'm only going through the top portion, and I know I'm making it to the holster. Now, this 4-prong is holding this piece where it's not moving. So I leave that in there. That keeps that piece from not moving, and I don't have to use clamps or something like that that might mar the leather. So I'm going to go ahead, and again, this takes just a little bit of time to get going around these corners. Once I get around that first corner, I'll just do 1 or 2 with the 2-hole punch, come back, put my 2-hole punch on the bottom at the corner, and then I take my 4-hole punch out. And that keeps that nice and steady, keeps it nice and straight, and it keeps it attached so I can keep moving on my punching. So I'm going to use my 4-hole now. I'm putting my last punch tooth in the last hole. And again, I'm not trying to go through both thicknesses of leather. I'm only going through the top piece. And I'm going to get me a little bit of beeswax here. If I can find which container, which drawer it's in. There it is. And I'm going to put just a little bit of beeswax on those teeth so that'll come out of that leather a little easier. Doesn't take very much. And again, don't want to go through both pieces, just want to go through the top piece and strike the bottom piece, the holster piece. And I'll show you, if you're not sure you're making it all the way through, lift it up and check it. Just don't remove this. And I'm making it plenty good enough through there. You can see the holes back in here. So I can turn my leather that I'm using, make sure I'm still lined up, and this is going to take me to the corner. So just like I did at the other corner where I started, I'm going to take out my 4-hole punch, come back down, put it back down at the bottom, put it through both pieces so it holds it now, and I can take my 2-prong back out and go around my corner. So depending on how fast you want to move around that perimeter will depend on whether you want to keep switching back and forth between your 2-prong or your 4-prong or 5, whatever it is you're using. I wouldn't use a 1-prong. I do have one of those. They come in handy in some situations, but you really need at least a 2-prong so that you can put your 1st prong in the hole that you already have established and move around the corner. So I've already went all the way across the top. You can see I'm moving fairly quickly down the second edge here without switching back and forth. So it's up to you, whatever's more convenient or however much time you have for you to switch or not switch, or maybe you have more than one 4-prong punch. That'd really be great. I just have one. I don't have 2, so I do have a 6-prong I guess I could use for holding, but this isn't a huge piece. If it was a rifle scabbard or something like that I was doing, then yeah, I'd definitely try to use a larger multiple tooth punch. So I worked my way down. I'm coming down to this corner now, and I'm gonna put that in where I know I'm into my 2nd layer or my holster layer. I'm gonna spin this back around where that 4-prong is toward me, and I'm gonna lift it out. and I'm going to move it all the way down to the end at the bottom so that I can continue with my 2-prong and not get into this being in my way. So you can just continue to move those around to make it convenient for you. Put just a little bit of beeswax on my 2-prong as I come around this corner. It does make it easy to remove, but it also makes it easy to go in the hole. So there's my holes in my small piece that holds the clip, and they go all the way through. And there's the holes that are started on this piece. So they do not go all the way through. The reason I do that is I can do it in one step, but then sometimes it makes it really difficult to pull these punches out. So now that I have my holes established, I can come through and go all the way through the holster side and not have to pound this punch through so much leather. So yeah, it does take a little bit longer. And again, you can go back and look at some of my other videos where I've used a drill press to drill the holes. If you wanted to do that, you could put this piece on and actually drill the holes if you wanted. So there's several ways you could do it. It just depends on your preference and how you want to do it. So I can't say this is the right or the wrong way. It's just how I do it. And normally I even go a step further, because these are like square teeth, and it just depends on how much leather I'm going through when I'm doing some hand saddle stitching. But this is a small area to cover. It's just a lot of holes because I'm going all the way around. But as you can tell, as I go, it gets very quick because I've already got a hole established to where I can put my punch. I don't have to just do one hole at a time. I can actually do 2 holes at a time. So that's what I'm doing now. Instead of doing 1 hole at a time and putting my other tooth in the previous hole, I can go ahead and skip, since I've already marked those with a punch. I can skip on to the next 2 holes. Now on my corners, I'm just going back to 1 hole at a time. Make sure I get that real good, and then continue on down. Notice how I rock that, trying to get that out. I don't want to rock it if I'm stuck in 2 pieces of leather, because you could bend your teeth depending on how long they are and how strong your punch is. But if I just go through the leather and rock it a little bit, it opens those holes up also. And that's it. I'm all the way around on both pieces. So you can see the back now. I'm through all the way, on this piece. So that's ready to be dyed before I stitch it. And then the metal clip will go in this piece, like so. Alright, so thanks for coming along for part 1 of the Inside the Waistband metal clip, belt clip holster project. Come on back next week and we'll be finishing this up, and I'll show you how to actually put the clip into that holder and finish that up. So thanks again for watching, and as I always say, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.